This is your Barbados Today evening update for Monday, February the 27th, 2017. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news at this hour, Finance Minister Chris Sinckler this evening broke his silence about the recent troubling developments on the economic front and his message to Barbadians: don't panic. He assured that the island was not on any precipice of disaster, even though he admitted that the stubborn fiscal deficit and falling foreign reserves remain major stumbling blocks to growth. At a news conference at government headquarters this afternoon, Sinckler announced measures to boost the foreign reserves by more than $200 million in the coming months. He said these funds would push the reserves back up above the 12 weeks of imports. Sinckler identified three sources of financing, including the first tranche of the drawdown on the Sam Lawrence loan set to occur any day now. He is also banking on the release of the First Citizens Bank bridging loan for upgrades to Customs and the Barbados Revenue Authority.
But we are not stopping there. There are other short-term measures which the government will take through the course of 2017 to ensure that we maintain those levels and sustain greater levels going forward. For example, it is our intention to absolutely maximize inflows from all foreign-funded public projects over the coming months. Already, we have approved status on the CAF-funded Barbados Water Authority Water Master Plan project for $30 million US. We also cleared the way for an additional $50 million from the Caribbean Development Bank project, which is related to the education sector enhancement part 2. Then there is the Caribbean Development Bank's water project systems upgrade for the Barbados Water Authority.
The finance minister also announced that his ministry was closely monitoring a developing situation where some local commercial banks have been approaching foreign investors with offers to them to use Barbados dollars to finance their projects here.
Is to ensure that where generous concessions are given on the basis that the country would get a net inflow of foreign exchange, that all parties honor those commitments if the benefits are to continue. I am happy to relay that all developers that my office has interacted with in the past weeks have given their full support to these measures. There are some additional actions which we will take in the coming months as well to boost supplies. But more of this will be spoken of in my presentation of the annual estimates of revenue and expenditure in a few weeks' time.
In immediate reaction, an economist and a political scientist raised concern that there were still too many unanswered questions. Economist Charlie Skeet says the finance minister did not spell out how the government intends to lower its spending, and that's issue number one to return Barbados to a growth path.
He did not satisfy me that he had a robust and adequate program to reduce government spending. Until the fiscal deficit is brought under control, the confidence in the financial and monetary affairs of Barbados will continue to erode. A 6% of GDP fiscal deficit is not adequate, and I need to hear what spending will be cut and over what time period to get the fiscal deficit to about maximum 4.5% of GDP. Not because 4.5% is sustainable going forward, but because that is the level that would restore confidence in creditors and in foreign lenders that our program of fiscal consolidation is on track.
At the same time, political scientist Peter Wickham suggested that Barbadians are still no wiser since Sinckler failed to deliver critical answers.
So today we are now told that in a matter of days, the reserves will be up. I think it's days now that we are looking at. And as I said, if you look at the last series of reports, it's the same thing. It's going to happen soon, just now, weeks, days. And that to me is why I say, for me, the exercise was one of futility. It was one from which I learned very little.
At the height of economic concerns, opposition MP Edmund Hinkson has charged that government parliamentarians received a $20,000 bonanza on their salaries last Friday as a result of the back pay that came with the reinstatement of a 10% salary cut for parliamentarians and senators. Addressing a constituency branch meeting at the Gordon Greenwich Primary School last night, the St. James North MP lamented that while BLP MPs had opted to pass on their back pay to charity, ruling Democratic Labour Party MPs had opted to pocket theirs when Barbadians are facing hardships.
All of them, last Friday, get $40,000 each in their hand. Because the $20,000 salary, including the entertainment allowance and the travel allowance, plus the 10% back pay retroactive. If you are getting your 10% from April 1st last year, that means it is back pay, retroactive pay. And that is what they would have got on Friday. $2,000 at $2,000 at 10 months each, that's $20,000, $40,000 each in their hand. When you, the people of Barbados, sucking salt, when thousands and thousands don't have a job, when hundreds and hundreds, as Kurt said, don't know how to send to school the child tomorrow morning, how they're paying for that child to go to school, where the next meal coming from that child, and how, my lady, the old pensioners of Barbados, who some months don't get pension.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Get your paper, get your paper. Only $2.25, $2.20. Who? For what? That's Bear Stare News. I don't read about that on Barbados today since last night. That can't only can't do. $2.20. Who?
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To the region now, Jamaica has reported a drop in road accidents so far this year, and authorities are hoping the trend will continue. Some 49 people have been killed in accidents across the country 2 months into 2017. Pedestrians account for 33% of the fatalities, while motorcyclists account for 31% of those killed. According to the Road Safety Unit, fatal crashes have decreased by 18% and fatalities 28% when compared to the same period last year. The unit is predicting a 15% drop in road deaths over the next 12 months. And finally, on the international front, U.S. President Donald Trump is seeking to boost defense spending by 10% in his proposed budget plan for 2018. The blueprint will increase defense spending by $54 billion, but seeks to recoup that sum through deep cuts in other areas, including foreign aid. Trump's plan, however, leaves large welfare programs untouched. He is expected to present the budget to Congress in May.
This budget will be a public safety and national security budget, very much based on those two, with plenty of other things, but very strong. And it will include a historic increase in defense spending to rebuild the depleted military of the United States of America at a time we most need it. We're going to do more with less and make the government lean and accountable to the people. We can do so much more with the money we spend. With the $20 trillion in debt, can you imagine that? The government must learn to tighten its belt, something families all across the country have had to learn to do, unfortunately, but they've had to learn to do it, and they've done it well.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Channel 99 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic evening.